Donald Trump's faltering bid to prove last month's election was rigged has hit a major setback. The president's most trusted lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, will be sidelined, having tested positive for coronavirus. ABC correspondent Greg Jennett joins us now from Washington. So, Greg, when did news of Rudy Giuliani's ill health become public?
Well, surprise, surprise, Ros, it came via a tweet from the White House through Donald Trump's own personal account relating to his 76-year-old friend, the former New York City mayor and personal lawyer to Donald Trump. So he let it be known that Rudy Giuliani, by far the greatest mayor in the history of New York City and who has been working tirelessly exposing the most corrupt election by far in the history of the USA, has tested positive for the China virus. Get better soon, Rudy. We will carry on, was Donald Trump's final declaration. And that really underscores the point that this has come at a critical time for this rather lackluster attempt so far by Rudy Giuliani to successfully challenge the legal basis of last month's election. He hasn't won a case yet. He's instead pursuing a different route by going to state legislatures and trying to appeal to them, not to validate their state's votes for the Electoral College. But time is running out because in 8 days from now, the Presidential Electoral College, which is actually the mechanism by which the next President of the United States is elected, that needs to convene and start casting ballots in legislatures right across the United States of America. Now, Rudy Giuliani won't be there, evidently, to prosecute the case. He'll be sidelined while he's recuperating. He is in Washington, D.C. And also, interestingly, he was on air on the Fox News network only about 4 or 5 hours before news of his ailment came through. He was seen there in a studio without a mask. In fact, he's bobbed up in a few states in recent days not wearing a mask. So it makes you wonder exactly who he'd come into contact with before the world was informed that Rudy Giuliani had actually joined the very, very long list of Americans who've succumbed to the coronavirus and caught it.
He is just, Greg, one of 14.5 million Americans to have been infected. What is the latest on the spread of the disease in the States?
Yes, so the numbers of new cases remain extremely high, well above 200,000 daily, but the actual deaths, a terrible statistic to have to dwell on, they've come off ever so slightly. So in the low 2000s after pushing record levels and breaking record levels late last week. But in particular patches, the trends are still terrible, particularly in the state of California. Most of it, geographically speaking, is now going into a higher form of lockdown where it won't be possible to go to a movie theatre, to dine outdoors or to gather in large numbers. And now this is through an area of the state that covers about 30+ million people. It extends through Central California to Southern California, the San Francisco Bay Area. All of these extra restrictions are being triggered by an automatic cut-in when ICU or intensive care unit bed numbers fall below 15%. These regions have to kick up to this higher level of social restriction, and that's what's happened here. So that's a worrying statistic to know that such a large part of California is now at critically low levels of intensive care bed capacity. But all of this makes the advisor to the White House coronavirus task force, Dr. Deborah Birx, really appealing to Americans not to sit around hoping for the arrival of vaccines to make everything better, but to try to take personal responsibility for the current infection levels and engage in social distancing and safe personal conduct.
The vaccine's critical, but it's not going to save us from this current surge. Only we can save us from this current surge. If you have loved ones that you want to protect, you have to follow these guidelines now.
Greg, what's the latest on Donald Trump's defiance on the results of the presidential election?
Yes, Ros, he's continuing to go about, particularly preaching to the converted, it must be said, in the state of Georgia, where they're campaigning to try to retain 2 Republican senators in that state. So he took the stage at a rally there and was very defiant in typical fashion, saying that he's never lost an election, he hasn't lost this one, and he's going to continue fighting. That goes down very well with the Republican home crowd there in Georgia. But as you listen to this epic performance, and it went for more than an hour and a half, there were also a few hints being dropped by Donald Trump that there is a day of reckoning here, and that is the presidential electoral college process, and that, you know, even he, I think you could discern in the words, could foresee a situation where he might have to leave the White House by the 20th of January next year.
Greg, thanks.